Alright, so, a little late into this battle, as you guys could probably see a minute and a half ago. What this one basically entails is at the time I didn't quite know it yet, but it's the Americans and British versus the Russians and the Germans. Right now, I'm just kind of pairing up with a Sherman Firefly just to kind of see what we can actually shoot at. And then we're actually going to try and cross this bridge, push into the center, and take A. It looks like we've already got some opposition going. What you can see there is that the Firefly was basically just checking left and then checking right again. And I'm actually going to follow suit, just because you never know, something could have come up. And it was at this time that I finally realized we were reversing the Russians so much that we actually had a KV-1 and a 234 over there. But also that STA right in front of me, 42G, was crossing my line of sight. Right there, I believe it was the KV-1B, took out my gun breach, so I was not able to kill stuff. And then from here we basically go on to a close range duel. Now at this point, the reason why I'm firing off the machine guns is to basically give an alert to my team saying that there's somebody here. In realistic, this can actually come in handy quite a lot, because then it actually tells them, hey, there's somebody here, rather than just an open. Basically what I'm waiting for here is just so that my gun breach can actually get back up. Right now. Guns. And the gun's back online, and at this point, I was really hoping that Cromwell was going to be able to take out the KV-1, but that just didn't seem to happen. And then at this point, I'm just trying to get as many shots, really, as I can into this KV-1 before I actually go down. Not sure what happened with the Firefly. It looked like he got taken out quite a while ago. And I didn't notice it, but there's actually a light tank to my right. And there he is, a little Hotchkiss 39. Now, of course, he's trying to set me on fire, which is completely reasonable. And there we go, KV-1's taken out. And the little Hotchkiss just killed my gunner. Or, correction, loader. So at this point, turret isn't exactly traversing very fast, and I'm just hoping to get the loader back on, which doesn't happen. I end up getting taken out by an F2, which was a pretty good shot by him, especially if you're trying to hit the ammo. Quick jump to one of our 251s here. Ends up doing pretty well on the team in the end. See him doing some strafing runs here. You see, there's that STA 42. Now, note the location of where he's in right now. In one of those towers. That positioning will actually be important in a few seconds. Now, I at the time didn't know that there was a tank destroyer in that location. Back to my unit in a second now. Yep. I can normally switch it. So I don't know if you guys noticed on the screen there, but for about a second and a half you could see where the STA 42's position was. Now at the time, since he wasn't lit up, I had no idea where he was. All I knew was that I had to get back into location, and I had to do it quicker than normal. Pretty soon, though, there will be I discharged the shell to actually get the better ammo in the barrel. But there is a heavy tank around the side of the building. Unfortunately, let's see. Yep. So the T-34 just took out one of our M10s who's in the center. And then I get killed by the Stuff 42 in the exact same location. Knocks out the entire crew. Kind of a big bummer. Jumping back to that Shadow here. He obviously doesn't last very long in his light tank. Not a whole lot of people do. Not sure what took him out. Anyways, back to the 105 M4. Now this tank actually starts off, and of course does, in the exact same position. No real big surpriser, it's pretty good. Me, of course, I would have moved by now, just because they would... Sorry about that. At this point in the battle, there wouldn't be that many people going for a respawn, so I would have actually moved before. Wow, the bug guys just got a 5th kill. Nice. Anyways, yeah, so at this point I'm just checking choke points and sides. Now, I thought that puff of smoke coming out from the F2 was actually one of our players shooting at somebody. I didn't realize that that was actually his gun going off. I was checking. And, but back on the F2, I had originally suspected that one of our allies had seen somebody up there, or thought they saw a tank and just wanted to take a pot shot and didn't really think much of it. Obviously I was wrong, but you don't have all the glorious little target markers in arcade battle that you do in realistic. And what I was doing with the binoculars there is sometimes things don't want to render in at medium-ish to long-range distances across the bridge. So I was just kind of doing a preemptive check before I just ran across. Guys, a little bug. Basically, nothing much has happened. The little Greyhound behind me was giving me a push, trying to get me across the bridge faster. Of course, again, checking corners, because you never know what's going to be around here. Anything? At this point, I'm just mainly concerned about getting into the cap circle. And at this point, there was actually an enemy fighter going overhead. It wasn't just the airplane shooting down the AA there. And at the time, that Ju-87 in the distance actually kind of looked like a speck of dirt on my monitor, so I didn't really think to zoom in on it. And he is actually what kills me later. But not before me and that little AA get to start capping and actually finish capping the base. And there you can just see me and the little AA trying to avoid as much of the bombs as we can, or at least from the airstrike. And here comes the rain. Now, obviously, vehicle lost. Yeah. So correction there. It was actually a BF 109. There he is. He's just coming into frame now. He had a what looked to be a 500 or a 1000 strapped to the undercarriage, and I'm back in my AA. But what I was actually trying to do there, as I was getting closer to the or AA, is I was trying to help him with repairs, because I couldn't remember or not if I had already had that installed. And of course, the replay's a bit jumpy here. So sorry about that bit, but nothing much I can do. So at this point, I didn't know that the little AA that I was with was actually dead at this point. I was just trying to rush back to the position to actually defend A. And there's a pair of Cromwells and a inch gun carrier that just crossed the bridge. Of course, one Cromwell is actually in F6 crossing now, and the other one's actually going to deal with what I soon believe is going to be an F2. And from there, all three of us are going to try and get back towards the base, because the enemy is, of course, as you can see now, starting to cap it. And basically, from what we can see here, there's not a whole lot we can do other than just defend ourselves. So here it's me, the 3-inch gun carrier, and a Cromwell retaking the base. I've got one airplane going up overhead for cover, and it looks like the enemy has called in another artillery strike on us. Don't really blame them. I notice the death and I peek around the corner, and lo and behold, there's a T-34. So basically what I did there is I got a little chevron on the map saying, hey, there's somebody over here. And then Cougar Blitz just comes and gets me. Which, to all intents and purposes, really doesn't surprise me at all. AA is actually the bane of itself. From here, actually, not a whole lot happens. This purple wind, there we go. Him and one of his other buddies actually starts hitting up our 3-inch gun carrier, which does not have any more ammo. He was going on about this a little bit earlier in chat, so we really did need to and I'm actually going to switch to the 3-inch gun carrier's sight. So yeah, basically this whirlwind is just here trying to set on fire, which is pointless. The only real thing that they can do is actually light them up for their other teammates. I do believe they only have 15 or 16 rounds, and it looks like they were actually able to switch ammo and go through. So yeah, that's a thing. So at this point, the Cromwell is basically just trying to actually get a hold of the situation, which at the time looked pretty good, but he's way too far out. He actually needed to come up through the bridge and try to push through there. Granted, they do have quite a few mediums. And I do believe one of the Warblins is still sitting up at our A36 right now. At this point, the other Cromwell, which was originally the guy in the 3-inch gun carrier, just got taken out. Warblind just took out this Cromwell. And then at this point, the only thing left is P56. It's a P36. Wow, 56? How about P51? Our P36 just died. It looks like it crashed. And then that's the end of the battle. So it wasn't too bad of a match. It is kind of disappointing though. As you can see, I ended up getting 4th overall on the team, which isn't bad, but when you see what their top players were doing, it was a complete raffle stomp. There was basically no way to pull back. Although a good portion of their team just didn't do anything. A little bit more, especially at the bottom half. But it was really the top 5 players of each team that made the difference. And Timo Kim here really pulled through on his team.